their KPIs, for example, the quality, active build time, and output. And sometimes they also conduct coaching sessions and monitors your daily performance. Okay, and then we have the operations associates. So I kind of mentioned this earlier. So they are the first and final touch of the menu. Okay, so they intake menu requests, they provide guidance to the menu team on the menu source and instruction, and they send the completed menus back to the client. Okay, so they are the ones managing our menu queues. Right, and then we have QAs and auditors. So as mentioned earlier, so they do the review of the menus that you guys have transcribed for our particular clients. Okay, and they are making sure that we are complying with the client instructions and style guide. Okay, and finally, you guys, transcribers. So as mentioned, you are the ones cleaning up the menu, you structure it, and making sure that you guys follow the client style guide or the set instructions by the client, okay, to help its restaurant partners go digital. So that's our organizational structure here in Woflow. Okay, now I want you guys to meet our leadership team. Okay, so earlier you met Willa Carey. So as mentioned, she's the head of the operations for Menu Marketplace, which is the biggest line of business here in Woflow. And then I want you to focus on our English operations team. Okay, so earlier you also met Anthony. So again, he's our operations manager, and he supports or he oversees the Cheetah client group. And then we have Anton. He's overseeing the Bear client group. We have Nikki from English Ops team. So she's also overseeing the Cheetah team. And then we have Norlene. Okay, so she manages the Pikachu, Walrus, and Cube. And lastly, from our English team, Pierre Bayog. So she's overseeing the mid-market client group. Okay, and the rest of our operations lead, we have Amber Escudero. Okay, so she manages our Spanish operations team. Gabriel, he's managing the Portuguese operations team. And then we have Jazz. She's the regional operations lead for Dutch and German. And Rita, she's the regional operations lead for French. And Rukia Iguchi is the senior operations specialist for Japanese operations team. Okay. All right. So that's the end of the first chapter. So I hope that you guys are still with me. If you guys are still online, can you guys use a thumbs up reaction, please? Hello, guys. Are you still with me? Please use your thumbs up reaction if you guys can hear me. All right, so moving on to chapter 2. So we will talk about the system and tools that you guys are going to use, and then client style guide, and our communication channels. Okay, so let's start with the systems and tools. Okay, so as you guys know, the name of the company is Woflow. Well, okay, so this is where you guys will do your menu transcription work. This is actually not different from the one that you guys have used during your menu transcription when you guys have taken the probation menus. Okay, so number 2, the task dashboard. Okay, so this is also known as the smart sheet, where you guys can assign yourself menus that you will work on. So I'm pretty sure that you're familiar with this one because you guys have also used this when you transcribe your menu during your probation. Okay, and we have Help Center. So Help Center is where you guys can get additional help or resources for some tips, okay, using our Woflow tool. So how can you guys access that? We will talk about that later. Okay, but you guys can see series of articles to address specific menu examples to help you with academy learnings and to help you with your menus. Okay, so that's the Help Center. And then the Discord channel. So this is our primary communication app. Okay. So you guys have to communicate everything using the Discord. So once you guys have received your welcome email, make sure that you guys download the Discord, and then make sure that you join in your client group channels. Okay, so this is where you will communicate. For example, you just signed in, or you have signed out, or you're taking in menus, you have questions. Okay, so make sure that you guys communicate that using the Discord channel. Okay, and when it comes to client group, okay, you guys will be informed of your client group before working on your first menu. Okay, and then you will receive an email inviting you to log into your Woflow account. Okay, so you guys will receive that after this training. Okay, but if you guys are unable to receive your welcome email tomorrow after 12 p.m. So please reach out to recruitment@woflow.com. Okay, so please take note of the email address. Okay, recruitment@woflow.com. Okay, you guys will only email that if you are unable to receive your welcome email tomorrow past 12 p.m. Okay. All right, and your login credentials will be entirely different or entirely dependent on which client group requested the transcription work. Okay, so here's an example. So let's say you guys have received your welcome email and you see that you're part of the Cheetah client group. Okay, so your username or your credential will be, for example, Jane.Smith, and then you have to add plus new team. Okay, so your username would be Jane.Smith plus new team at gmail.com. Okay, now if you're part of the Bear client group, you have to add plus Bear. Okay, so your credential will be jane.smith plus bear at gmail.com. Okay, but if you guys receive Cube, Mid-Market, Pikachu, or Walrus as your client group, okay, so you don't have to add anything on your email address. Okay, you guys can use your registered email, okay, when you applied here in Woflow. Okay, so for example, jane.smith at gmail.com. So I hope that's clear. Right, now if you are a Woflow rehire, okay, so don't worry, your old account will just be reactivated, so no need to make an update on that. Okay. All right. Next, client style guide. So our client style guide, this is actually your Bible. So it's a document that contains instructions and other information to be followed for the menu builds of a specific client. Okay, so when you guys are working on your menu, okay, so make sure that you guys always open and read the client style guide, because that's where you guys can check the instructions, the rules, okay, and other updates for the menu that you guys are going to transcribe. Okay, so it comes from many different clients, as you guys can see here on the screen. So we have different client codes here. So make sure that you guys know your client code, okay, before you guys intake a menu. And to access your style guide, make sure that you refer to the menu instruction field. So once you guys have clicked your client code here, you guys will see the menu instruction field, and you can click on the client style guide. But don't worry, that will also be shared with you by your pod leaders or your operations associate once you guys are endorsed to the operations. Okay, so you guys will know more about our client style guides. Okay, moving on to our communication channels. So your respective teams have Discord servers that are used for announcement, new menus on queue, okay, etc. So the links will be provided to you in your welcome email. Okay, so once shared, make sure that you join your respective Discord server immediately. Okay, and download or install that on your desktop and mobile phone. Okay, and same thing here in Zoom. Make sure that your display name in Discord should appear so that we can recognize you. Make sure your full name will be available on the Discord channel. All right. So that's the end of the chapter 2. So let's move on to chapter 3. So I hope you're still with me. Okay, so for the task dashboard, So this is an example of the task dashboard. So again, this is also known as the smart sheet, where you guys can check for new menus in the queue daily. Okay, so this is different for each team. So don't worry, you won't be seeing any other client groups here aside from the client that you're assigned to. Okay, so you guys won't be confused. Okay, so now each queue on the task dashboard represents a different transcriber task. Okay, so this is where you guys will build menus. Okay, you can also build menus with dual language, but this is usually for regional operations with dual language. Okay, update menus, right? And just a reminder, always take menus from the top first, as those are the ones that are due for the client immediately. Okay, so we do not allow cherry picking here. So make sure that you guys always take the menu from the top first. Okay, so now how do you assign yourself a menu? So how do you take that menu? Okay, so on the transcriber column, you have to click on the first blank row. So as mentioned earlier, make sure that you first or you pick the menu here. So this is the top. Um, okay, so if you guys are seeing the blank space here on top, okay, so that's below this transcriber, Ivan Gabriel Peña. So that is the menu that you guys have to intake first. Okay, so that's the first step when taking in menu. Second step, select your name from the transcriber dropdown, then click save. So it should appear in your menu queue. Okay, so this is the example of the transcriber dropdown. Okay, so once you click the first blank row here, okay, so you guys will see a tab which says details and then or transcriber. So just click the drop down and look for your name. Okay, now if you encounter any errors, so number one, if you don't see your name in the drop down, okay, and then second, if you or if the menu that you selected does not appear in your menu queue after 3 full refreshes, as much as possible, do not reassign the menu or do not assign another menu. So wait and try to refresh the link first. And then if it doesn't work, that's the time that you guys have to communicate or reach out to your pod leaders or any operations associates on duty so that they can help you. Okay, so hope that's clear. And the next step, once you guys have already selected your name, then click on the menu row in your menu queue to make the details panel pop up. So here. Okay, so this is where you guys can paste the Woflow menu URL, okay, and write any notes about the menu and mark your task complete. So if you guys can remember during your probation menu, so you were also asked to include the link, right, on the details pane. Okay, so why is it important? So this is where you will paste your note, and aside from that, the link. Okay, so why is it important? Because the URL for menu versions allows us to look up data about the menu. So if you paste the menu pages view, we have to manually correct this, and it may also affect your payout. Okay, so as you can see here, this is where you guys will get the URL. Okay, so from the version field, menu versions view. Okay, so get the link, copy that, and then paste it on the details tab. Okay, and then this is the pages view. So you might be confused uh, between the pages view and the versions view. So again, get the link from the versions view and then paste that in the menu URL field. Okay, so that it won't affect your payout. Okay, now for note templates for our menu build. So once you guys have completed your menu, you've already completed the transcription. Okay, so you have to report that. Okay, so we are using templates when we report the status of our menus. Okay, so here's the template. So you guys have to include your name, your pod assignment, your client code, the store ID, and the status of your menu, if it's in progress or completed. So as you can see here in the example, so Richard Okay, so he posted this on the Discord channel or chatter. Okay, so he included his name, the pod assignment, and then the client code, for example, Cheetah, store ID, and the status is in progress. If it's already completed, make sure that you also report that on the Discord chatter. Okay, so just use this template and mark it as complete. Okay, now for other templates, for example, you have questions about the menu that you're working on. We are also using templates when asking questions. So this is the details that you have to include when you guys will ask questions. So make sure that your name is on the chatter, your pod assignment, your client code, your store ID, the name of the restaurant, the address, source type, source link, and the detailed question. So here's an example. Okay, so you see the transcriber name here, the pod assignment, pod 13, client code Cheetah. This is the store ID, restaurant name, and the address, and source. Okay, so here's the source of the menu. For example, the menu comes from the website. So make sure that you include the link of the website. Okay, so don't worry, guys. This will be available once you guys are taking in menu. Okay, so these details, because you might wonder where do you guys get these details? So that will be available immediately. And if you guys have questions about this, you can always reach out to your pod leaders. They will definitely help you out. Okay, and other things to remember. So we follow a one menu at a time rule in getting assignments. Okay, so we wanted to make sure that we have equal distributions of menu to all our transcriber here. So again, we don't allow cherry picking. Okay, so just take one menu at a time. And we do not tolerate hoarding or abandoning or not finishing menu tasks. So when we say hoarding, instead of just taking one menu, you take 5. Okay, and make sure that you finish the menu first before you take another one. Okay, because if you guys will do this, you run the risk of having your account suspended, or we will limit the menus that are being assigned to you. So that means less payout for you. Okay. Now, we also get priority menus that need to be completed immediately. Thus, please ask if there and if please ask your respected team Discord channel after signing in, and if you encounter any issues with your menus. Okay, so for example, with time lock issues or geo restriction issues, please inform your pod leader or any operations associate on duty. So we'll discuss this later on, the time lock and geo restriction. Okay, and once you completed your assigned menu, make sure you provide an update in your Teams Discord chatter, then get a new one. So remember earlier we talked about reporting the menu if it's in progress or completed. So make sure you use that template and post that in the Discord chatter. Okay, and if you have questions, again, use the template that I've shown you earlier. All right, now talking about the time lock here, for example, you encounter this issue. So what is time lock? So it means that the menu is not accessible because of the time zone difference. So example, you're working here in the Philippines and you were asked to transcribe a menu that's located in the United States. Okay, so for example, right now it's in the morning, so probably in the US it could be late in the afternoon or maybe evening, so the restaurant might have already closed. Okay, so you are unable to open, okay, because of the time zone difference. Okay, so make sure to wait for the restaurant to be open before you can proceed to work on this task. Okay, and then second is the geo restriction. So what does it mean? It means that the menu is not accessible because of the restaurant's location or the GP ID or the Google Place ID. So for this instance, we recommend that you guys use a VPN application. Okay, so in Woflow, majority of our transcribers, they use UltraSurf. So that's a free VPN application. So make sure that you use that or download that. Okay, and then set it to the appropriate country, for example, United States, and then just refresh the menu and you guys can proceed. Okay, now if you're not familiar with the VPN application or on how to use it, make sure that you reach out to your pod leader so that they can help you. Okay, so I hope that's clear. All right, so we have a question from Regine. Regine, kindly just put that in the chat box and we will address your question at the end of our session. Okay, thank you. Okay, so moving on to chapter 4, let's talk about your performance targets. Okay, so your daily targets are dependent on the menu source or its complexity. So for all other sources, usually you guys can take 5 to 8 menus per day. Okay, and for PDEs, so PDEs, we actually have a tool here in Woflow that literally sucks the information from the website. Okay, and then you just have to put the link on the Woflow tool. Okay, so and the details will be available immediately. So for the menus, you guys can take around 8 to 10 menus per day. Okay, so that's pretty much easier compared to other sources. Now for XL or double XL, the time frame would be ASAP or as soon as possible. So we'll talk about that later. Okay, so aside from the volume of the menus that you have completed in a day, we also evaluate your performance according to number one, the speed of completion. So how fast you guys can complete your menu. Okay, do you also adhere to the client mandated turnaround time? So usually we have a 24-hour turnaround time here for most of our client groups. Okay, so aside from speed, we also evaluate you based on the quality of the menu that you have transcribed. Okay, is it error-free? Do you follow the client style guide? Okay, and lastly, your behavior, the transcriber behavior. Okay, so do you proactively communicate? Do you have zero work abandonment? So that's how we evaluate your performance here. Okay, so if you have questions for the daily menu targets and how we evaluate you, feel free to post that in our chat box. Okay, and you may also reach out to your pod leads as early as now. Okay, so now let's talk about the XL and double XL menus. So these are the menus that contain anywhere between 1,000 or 18,000 menus to be transcribed, or items rather, to be transcribed. Okay, but usually these are for grocery stores, convenience stores, flower shops, or liquor stores. Okay, so these tend to be very straightforward. Okay, and it can take time given the number of items. Okay, so just imagine, let's say Walmart. Okay, so Walmart supermarket is one of the biggest supermarkets in the United States. Or if we guys will use an example here in the Philippines. So SM Supermarket, for example, you receive that menu from SM Supermarket. So all the menus, all the items in that supermarket, that's what you guys are going to transcribe. Okay, so imagine that's 18,000 items or more. So that's what you guys will be transcribing. Okay, so it will definitely take time, okay, to transcribe that. Okay, but that menu should be completed in 24 hours, or it can't be completed in 24 hours, but the deadline is as soon as possible. Now, if you guys will work on this kind of menu, okay, so make sure that you reach out to your operations team for the output or for the expected output per day on the source. So for example, you can only work on 200 items or maybe 400 items. Make sure that you communicate that with your PL. Okay, so just say PL, I have a convenience store menu here, so I can only work on 200 menus today. Okay, make sure that you inform your PL. Okay, so please note as well that working on this menu may be shared with other transcriber. As mentioned, usually it's up to 18,000 menus, so definitely you can't transcribe that menu um, on the same day, right? So it can be shared with other transcribers. So taking turns in order to keep the momentum and finish the menu as quickly as possible, because remember that the turnaround time is 24 hours. Okay, so don't worry, your work in Woflow will be tracked and will be paid out accordingly. Because you might wonder, how does Woflow monitor or track the work that I do? For example, I only work for 200 items per that menu. So our system is very intelligent that it can track your work, so you will be paid out accordingly. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the turnaround time or the client SLA. Okay, so majority of our client menus have a turnaround time of 24 hours, but it doesn't mean that you are given 24 hours to complete one menu. So within the so that 24 hours is our um that's our turnaround time for our client. But for you guys, within the 24 hours, you guys can work on, for example, 5 to 8 menus. Okay, if you guys can do more, then why not? Okay, that's more payout for you. Now, once you assign yourself a menu, it's expected that you guys are working on it immediately and finishing it as quickly as possible, unless your menu is time locked. So we discussed that earlier. So again, time locked menus, that's due to time restriction. Okay, so make sure that you report that to your PL. Okay, and you may only take one menu at a time. So finish it first, then once you're done, you guys can get another one. Okay, so I hope that's clear. So let's move on to the quality. Okay, so in Woflow, we look at the quality in two angles. So number one is the level of accuracy and then adherence. So when we say accuracy, it's when you transcribe your menu, is it error-free? Are all the items, categories, extras correct? Okay, so that's accuracy. And then when it comes to adherence, do you guys follow the specific client instructions or the rules from the style guide? Okay, so that's how we view quality here. So the less errors that you make, the better the quality of your transcription will be. So less errors, it means higher payout. Okay, because you guys are being paid here for the work that you guys are doing. Okay. Now, the errors here are classified into critical and non-critical. So this may vary for each client. So we will talk about the critical and non-critical errors later. And it's important that you guys understand each error so that you can learn some ways on how to avoid and correct them. Okay, so let's talk about critical errors. So for these critical errors, some of you might have encountered this or might have seen this from the feedback of the QA team on the menus, on the probation menus that you have transcribed. Okay, so the critical errors generally include pricing issues or availability issues and other health or legal issues. So let's take a look at some examples below. So number one, incorrect item options or pricing. So for example, you have transcribed, let's say $10 instead of $15. Okay, so that's pricing. Okay, or you have mistyped the item. Okay, what else? You missed the category or item, modifier, or option. Okay, you have incorrectly typed minimum or maximum for a modifier. And then we have missing menu or page. Definitely this is business impacting because, for example, you were asked to transcribe a menu and then you forgot to transcribe the first page of the menu. Okay, so that's business impacting. And then category item, modifier, option on the menu that should be removed, but you guys have included that on the menu. Okay, what else? You included drugs, tobacco, alcohol. Okay, but it's not approved by our client to be included on the menu. So those are critical errors. So again, that's business impacting. Okay, so make sure if you guys have encountered that the first time, review your work and then learn from it so that you guys won't commit the same mistake again. Okay, now how about non-critical errors? Okay, although this is not business impacting, make sure that we also be mindful when we transcribe menus. Okay, so let's check our spelling, grammar, capitalization, and menu structure or sorting. So these are common examples. And misspelled words in names or descriptions, incorrect use of title case in the description, okay, incorrect category order or incorrect item order, incorrect punctuation. What else? Stray characters or symbols. So those are not allowed. So those are non-critical errors. Okay, so now how do you improve your quality? So make sure that you study your client style guide and help center, and then read your transcriber feedback report. So again, that's a report from the QA. And use your transcriber checklist and make sure you practice our company values. So we will discuss this in greater detail in the next slides. Okay, so the client style guide. So I mentioned this earlier. Again, client style guide is your best friend, your Bible. So make sure you guys read and understand the client style guide while you guys are doing menu transcription work. Okay, so we get the menus from different clients. So make sure that you study the style guide, okay, to avoid any critical and non-critical errors in transcription. So those that I mentioned earlier. Okay, and when going through each style guide, so make sure you pay attention to certain rules, okay, for your client. And it is constantly updating, so make sure you read this thoroughly before working on each menu. Okay, so make sure to make that as a habit. Okay, so that's how you read our style guide. Now for Help Center, so again, this is another valuable resource to improve your knowledge and skills, okay, when using the Woflow application to transcribe menus. So it contains articles such as tips on menu transcription, how to update the Woflow tool, and other frequently asked questions. So that's available on the Help Center. So how do you access our Help Center? So number one, you guys can visit this website. So https intercom.help/woflow/English or EN. Okay. Second option, you guys can click on this icon. So this is the chat icon on the bottom right corner in your Woflow tool. So just click that and then just type in the code or the keyword, and you guys will see the list of articles that's related to the keyword that you have typed in. All right. Now for transcriber feedback report, as I've been mentioning, make sure that you guys always read the transcriber feedback report, because this is where you guys will read the comments from our QA team or their feedback, so you guys can learn from it. Okay, so make it a habit to read this report to improve your quality. And if you guys have concerns or maybe you disagree with the report, you guys can always reach out to your operations teammates. So they are your quality analyst and your pod leader. Okay, so if you have any clarifications or any questions that you want get further, or if you want to get further clarification on what's written in the report, they will definitely help you with that. Okay. All right. So transcriber checklist. Okay. So while working on your assigned menu, make sure that you use this checklist as your guide before you complete your task. Okay. So these are the transcription that you guys have to answer and post it on your menu or the details tab or the transcriber checklist. So this is just answerable by yes or no. So this is just your guide, okay, before you mark your menus complete. So ask yourselves, have I already completed all the categories? Okay, are the items per category complete? Are the extras already complete? Okay, so definitely this is just a review of the menus that you're transcribing. Okay, so if your answers are yes, then you guys can mark your menus complete. Okay, so that means that you have not missed anything. Okay, another thing for post transcription. Okay, so ask yourselves, are any items not included due to missing price? Are any extras not included due to missing options, etc.? Okay, so just copy and then paste that so that our QA teams have visibility also on these transcriptions. Okay, before marking your menus complete. Now, when it comes to our company values, So again, improving your quality is all about learning from your work that you have completed. So the more menus that you transcribe, the more opportunities you guys can develop your skills. Okay, and make sure that we also practice this company values. Okay, so number one, bias for action. So what does it mean? It refers to your resourcefulness and sense of initiative. So your quality starts from asking right questions, okay, being proactive in reaching out to your pod leaders, to your QAs, okay, and performing due diligence in understanding and using all available information. For example, the client style guide. Okay, and you have passion for learning. So it refers to our curiosity and commitment to mastering your skills. Okay, learning from your mistakes. Okay, from the menu transcriptions, from the feedback of our quality auditors. Okay, so it will help you get better in transcribing menus. And lastly, collaboration. Okay, so it refers to the teamwork in helping each other. So make sure that you always reach out to us, to the operations team, specifically your pod leaders, your QAs, and operations associates if you need assistance. Okay, and if you guys have a scheduled coaching session, make sure that you also attend to that. And if we have training, make sure you're present in the training. Okay, we're down to the last two chapters. So I hope that you guys are still with me. So can you guys use a thumbs up reaction if you're still with me? Hello, guys. Let me know if you guys are still on the line. Okay, so thank you. Now, for chapter 6, for the PNPs, we will talk about your attendance, your shift schedule, and leave of absence, your pod leader assignment, payouts and tax forms, and some information security. Okay, so let's start with your attendance, shift schedule, and leave of absence. So for the attendance, we use three tools to track your attendance, okay, in Woflow. So number one is my hours. So I'll introduce you to my hours on the next slide. And then we have the Discord channel. We talked about this earlier. So again, this is where you guys will sign in and sign out, okay, as part of communicating with your team. Okay, so aside from that, we also have PL tracker here. So our PLs rather, are using these trackers for them to have visibility, who's going to take in menus, who's out, who's on leave. Okay, so these are the three attendance trackers that we're using here in Moflow. Okay, so as mentioned, for my hours, you guys need to sign in here as well. So you will receive an instruction in your email to accept the My Hours invitation. So this is an example of the invitation that you guys will receive. So you don't have to download the My Hours app, okay, on your mobile phone or on your desktop or laptop. So please wait for the email, okay, from Woflow. Okay, so this is an example of the email that you will receive. Okay, once you have received this, just click here to accept the invitation. Okay, so that you guys can set up your My Hours account. So I hope that's clear. Now, how do you track your hours using the My Hours application? Okay, so first step, just log into My Hours. And then once you're logged in, select your client. For example, Cheetah or Bear. And then what's your task? So example, transcription. And then just include the client ID and just click start. Okay, so once you have clicked the start button, okay, so your time will run. Okay, as an example here on the screen. So just keep this window running in the background while you're working on your menus. And then once you're done for the day, then you guys can click on stop. Okay, and then log out. So that's how you guys can track your productivity or your hours using this tool. Okay, and for more tutorial about my hours, you guys can watch the tutorial. Don't worry, we will be sharing this material at the end of the session. Okay, so this is an online version. of the material. Okay. Now for your attendance, or for your shift schedule rather, if so the shift schedules are planned according to the volume of the menu tasks to be worked on. So your respective pod leaders will inform you of your shift schedule before you work on your first menu. Now, all transcribers or all new transcribers are expected to work full time. Okay, now in case you want to change your shift, make sure that you send a request to your respective operations team leads via email at least 1 month prior. Okay, and then for leave of absence, so here in WoFlow, we treat all leave of absence as without pay. Okay, so if you plan to go on VL or vacation leave, make sure that you seek approval with your respective pod leader or any operations associate on duty at least 2 weeks before. Okay, and for other leave cases, for example, sick or emergency leave, again, inform your pod leader or any ops associate on duty using your Discord or mobile at least 4 hours before your shift schedule. Now, all leaves, regardless of its reason, it must be filed using our WoFlow leave form. So this is the example of the leave form. Okay, so after you get an approval, this is where you can file your leave of absence so that we can help our operations team to track the attendance as well as plan and manage our staffing. Okay, so here, just put the log date, your name, your pod assignment, the leave code, for example, vacation leave. Okay, when is the start date and the end date, and just click submit. Okay, that's how you use the leave form. Okay, so pod leader assignment. So at the onset, you may not be immediately assigned to a pod leader yet, but rest assured that we will assign you one as soon as possible. Okay, so you can start working on menus while waiting for your pod assignment. So just when you sign in, just send a message to the Discord chatter, and you guys can inform any operations associate on duty of your availability so that you can take a menu. Okay. Now let's talk about the payouts, your payouts and tax forms. So in WoFlow, payouts are done every 2 weeks on a set schedule. Okay. So our main payment platform is called Hyper Wallet. Okay, and you guys can only set up your Hyper Wallet payee account once you receive your first payout. So this cannot be done beforehand. So what does it mean? So for example, let's say next week is your first payout. Okay, so that's the time that you guys will also receive an email from WoFlow or from our finance team to set up your Hyper Wallet account. Okay, so again, this cannot be done beforehand. So you, on your first payout, that's also the time that you will receive to set up your Hyper Wallet account. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Now, when this happens, you will receive an instruction in your emails on how to activate that. So make sure you read that and follow the steps carefully. And if you have payout concerns, send that to recruitment@woflow.com. So please take note of this email address, okay, recruitment@woflow.com. For more information, you can also read through our WoFlow Pay FAQs. Okay, so for tax forms, so once you've reached a total number or total numbers of transfers amounting at least $600, okay, in your Hyper Wallet account, you will be asked to fill out a W-8BN form. So what is W-8BN form? It's an IRS mandated form to correct non-resident alien taxpayer information for individuals and to document the status for tax reporting purposes. Okay, so you might wonder, will you get charged of a tax in the US? So the answer is no. And the purpose of this form is mainly to just establish the country of residence and whether or not you are qualified for a withholding tax exemption. Okay, so again, filling this form, it doesn't mean that you will be paying taxes in the US. Okay, so this is just for tax reporting purposes or the status. Okay, and when you receive a notification for this form, make sure that you complete that as soon as possible. Okay, or seek guidance from your PL if you guys have any questions on how to fill out the tax forms. All right, and lastly, for this chapter, information security. So at WoFlow, we take information security very seriously. So we strongly advise that you avoid doing any of the following. So number one, take note, do not share your passwords and user account privileges to anyone. Okay, so that's a no-no. And don't let other people work on your menus on your behalf using your access. Okay, so please do not do this because we have ways to find out if you guys are doing this. Okay, and we have terminated people or churned out transcribers here, okay, because of doing these things. And lastly, do not share any WoFlow's confidential and proprietary information to anyone, of course, including this material. And again, lastly, do not discuss your payout information or rates with anyone. Okay, I know that's very straightforward. Okay, we're now on our last chapter, practicing basic etiquette. So it takes a village to build and complete a menu for every single client that we partner with. So definitely there are certain norms that we expect that you guys follow here as a WoFlower. So number one, make sure you communicate. So we're on a virtual setup. Okay, so this is the only way that we communicate. So make sure again to always use the Discord chatter to communicate, even if you're just going on break. Okay, taking menu. Okay, you're having any issues, you have questions. Okay, make sure that you communicate all the time. Okay, always inform your pod leader or your stakeholder of your status. Okay, communication is very important. Now, next, be proactive. Okay, so make sure that you keep yourself up to date with what's happening, such as reading our client style guide or checking your team's Discord announcement channel. Okay, that way you guys can, learn a lot from that, which becomes you more effective transcriber. And then always think quality. Okay, so use all of your available resources to keep your menu outputs error free. Okay, and tap on people to answer any questions if you guys have any questions or clarifications. Again, don't hesitate to reach out to your pod leaders or QAs or any operations associate on duty. And be a team player. So make sure you participate in all activities such as calibrations and engagement activities. Okay, so with your pod leads, operations associate, or anyone. So we're here to help and support you. Okay, so that's the end of our orientation. So this is the final message from Willa Kari. And if you guys have any questions in this orientation, feel free to put that in the comment box and we'll be glad to answer that for you. Okay, and while you type in your questions, I will also share the link on the comment box to the attendance tracker and our survey form. One moment. Okay, so I posted the link to the attendance and survey form. So it will only take about 2 to 3 minutes of your time. So please make sure to complete that because that's going to be the basis of your attendance. Okay, and if you have any questions, so again, post that in the comment box. So we have a question here from Michelle Pani. So if the menu will be shared with other transcribers, how will the QA know who worked on a certain part? Okay, Michelle, we have a tool here in Woflow, and it's intelligent enough to identify the work that you have done, and our QAs are equipped in identifying each transcriber's menu. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. But again, as mentioned earlier, if you disagree with, for example, you have disputes, you can always reach out to the QAs or to your pod leader. They will definitely address the issue and help you out. I hope I answered your question. Okay, another question from Regine. So just concerned about the shift schedule. So how will we know our shift since we might not have pod leaders yet? Okay, one moment. Let me just ask one of my teammates here. Leia, are you on the line? Just a moment.
Sorry, Jules, were you looking for me?
Yeah, sorry, Leia. So we have a question here from Regine. So I hope you can help us with her question. So how will they know if their shift, since some of them might not have pod leaders yet?
Okay, that's a good question. So technically speaking, when you guys will be having your welcome email, so the immediate thing that you need to do, as mentioned by Jules, is you need to join your Discord account first, okay? And then since you do know who your clients are, or at least your clients are going to be part of, at most it's going to be almost automatic for them to assign the pod leaders, because we're asking them to do that as quickly as possible. Because it's going to be in partnership with your pod leaders, that they'll be the ones who will be assigning your shift. So that's that, okay? So I would suggest that you wait for your pod leaders first, or your welcome emails the first. Join your Discord the moment you're in. You can ask these particular types of questions. And as mentioned by Jules earlier, your shift schedule is going to be dependent on the volume, on volume of work. What do we mean by that? So it depends on the client that you're going to be part of, and also the volume of work. The reason being is because we want to make sure that there will be equal opportunities for all transcribers to get menus to be transcribed. Okay. I just need to check. Is there anyone in this room right now who doesn't know how to speak Tagalog? Raise your hand or do a thumbs up. Going once, going twice. Okay, so that means marunong kayong lahat magtagalog. So just shift in the vernacular for people to understand, okay? So when yung na-mention ko about equal opportunities for transcribers to get menus, okay? So kung say for example, you guys are going to be the one who's going to work with your pod leader and say, eto yung nakikita naming schedule that will be most suitable for you, because at least you're going to get more opportunities to get menus. Who doesn't want that, okay? Pero say for example, there will be, maybe you have personal considerations that you can only work at a certain time of the day. Be prepared for the risk that perhaps at the time that you prefer to have the shift schedule, baka walang menus. Okay? So be prepared for that. I'm sure everyone wanted to join Woflow for you guys to be able to know, earn a decent parang earn for get a job, get some earnings, 'di ba? So you need to be very strategic in terms of working with your pod leaders in ensuring that you get menu tasks. Because if, say, for example, you do not work with your pod leaders, the tendency is that you might have, lesser occasions of getting menus. Yung tipong lalagin kayo, ay, ubus na yung menu. Kasi possible kasi during your conversation with your pod leader, mas nanaig yung gusto mong mag-work within the shift schedule, 'di ba? So, it's now parang it can be, it's not really an issue of the early bird gets the worm. It's more of making sure that there are appropriate enough number of people who will be available at a specific shift to handle the volume. Okay? So kung may volume, you have work. Pero if say for example, you choose to have a shift, kasi sinabi ng pod leader mo, nako, Regine, kasi yung shift kasi that you're proposing kasi usually walang menu yan eh. So it's a risk you're going to have to think about kung talagang parang yun talaga yung available mong schedule pero wala kang menu, 'di ba? Parang sayang din, no? 'Di ba? Sayang din yung oras mo, sayang din yung oras nung pod leader, 'di ba? So work it out with your pod leaders. I think what is important, as you could probably sense in the entire NHO session, is that communication is very important, especially in a situation where everybody is virtual. So please, as much as possible, communicate, 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 communicate. Okay, concerns, may issues, and what's so forth and so on. That's that. Okay. It really depends, Regine, kasi we do have a good amount of spread of clients kasi that is working on pwedeng GY, pwedeng non-GY, okay? And it really depends on which client you're going to be able to be assigned. So we don't know yet which client you're going to be part of, okay? So please wait for your welcome email. You're going to see that welcome teammates. So you will be able to see when you receive the email to which particular team you're going to be part of. And then when you get that information, that's when you start communicating. So welcome email, again, Discord. Then pagka nasabi na sa'yo na, hey, welcome, you're going to be assigned to my team. Eventually, you'll be getting an invitation for that. Then have a conversation with your pod leader. Okay? Kasi we cannot, with the LNT team doesn't have any information as to kung saan kayo ma-assign. I hope I was able to answer the question. Thank you, Regine.
Okay, thank you, Leia. Thanks, Regine, for your question. So if you guys have any other questions, please post it on the chat box. We still have 7 minutes left. Okay, but if you don't have any questions and once you're done with the attendance and survey form, feel free to drop off from this meeting.